All right, so before we start, I'll just make a brief announcement. This meeting is being held remotely in accordance with the Governor of Massachusetts, March 12, 2020, order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, general laws, chapter 30A, section 20. On March 29th, 2023, Governor Healy signed a supplemental 2023 budget bill allowing remote and hybrid meeting options for public bodies through March 31st, 2025. This meeting is being recorded. So I will open the meeting with a couple of announcements. First of all, we do have a new member. Carrie Cunha is joining us as her first meeting. Those of you on camera can see Carrie. Welcome to our group.
Hi, Carrie.
We don't meet on a regular basis, but on an as needed basis, which sometimes can be a lot and sometimes not so much. We also have joining us for the first time, Jess McCain, who is our recording secretary. I'll let you off the hook, Jess, once I do the introduction, that you can go to your blank screen, which I know you prefer. So Jess is going to be our recording secretary. She is also involved with the finance committee. So I know there won't be any conflicts with her working another meeting because both Gary and I are on the finance committee. So we won't have any conflict of meeting dates anyway. And Jess has done such a great job for us on the finance committee that we're very happy to have her technical abilities as well as her presence here with us. So thank you for joining us, Jess, and we will continue on. Now, Sean, is that you that's joined us as well?
Yes,
Great.
Can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you. So we just opened the meeting, so your timing is perfect. So we really only have that one major order of business, and once we're done with the lifeguard issue, we can talk a little bit about the compensation study a little bit. There's not much to say, but we can talk about that. So Sean, I'm going to let you take the floor. Everyone has had a chance to, I think, read the material that you sent. We have 4 out of our 5 members here, so you've got a good turnout. And I'm going to turn it over to you, Sean. Sean Leach is the chair of the beach committee.
Yeah, I tried to get on the link, for some reason it wouldn't let me in the room, so I'm not sure what's there.
Okay,
So,
sorry.
No, it's fine. So I called in.
Okay.
So, those who don't know me, I'm Sean Leach. I'm chair of the beach committee. To say this year was a challenge to get lifeguards was probably an understatement. I first have to thank Dana Stewart and Barry Long for the work that they've done, Jim Hartnett being cooperative. The last 2 years, or ever since the pandemic started, it's been a challenge to get lifeguards, both certified and qualified to patrol beaches and find that they're responsible. The only way we could attract them is to increase the salary. The state is paying $27 an hour, I believe, and adding $600 bonus at the beginning of the year and $600 bonus at the end of the year. Some of our lifeguards from years ago ended up there. We looked around and we saw that everybody was having problems getting lifeguards, and it was simply a matter of demand higher than the supply. So we upped our salaries last year to $21 an hour. And we attracted enough lifeguards, but at the end of the year, most had to go back early, and we were short lifeguards for Labor Day weekend. Anybody who was at the beach saw that. So this year, we knew our head lifeguard was not coming back. Evan Audette, who did a fantastic job over the last 9 years. But we did not expect the lifeguards, 8 of the lifeguards, not to come back last year. So we went looking in April. We started in earnest looking on beat down every door, looking Red Cross, YMCA, swim clubs, you name it, swim teams, high schools, and basically did not get a response. And we faced a crisis of probably not having lifeguards at the beach for this summer, or something even worse. As it turns out, at the last minute, there was a group from Fairhaven and everything who were paying less than what we were paying them, who signed up, and we have now actually an abundance of lifeguards all of which are qualified and have been certified to do the job. And from what I've seen the last couple of weeks, they've done a really good job down there. And this is on the promise that we up the salaries from a lifeguard to $21. And we created a head lifeguard position at $25. And we had a beach manager position advertised that somebody could run the beach, because we feel, and I think the town administrator feels, that the beach committee, although we're advisory committee, it's become more of a full-time job now to recruit and get this thing off the ground and the expenses and run the whole show. So right now we have, I believe, 12 lifeguards, and we have one head lifeguard, and we do not have a beach manager. We did not find somebody who really fit the bill. It's only a part-time job. What we like from the personnel board are a couple of things. One is, to approve, we have the lifeguard description, and we have the head lifeguard description. We also would like to have an assistant head lifeguard, probably in lieu of the beach manager position, to help out the head lifeguard and run the show when the head lifeguard is not at the beach. We don't expect the head lifeguard, who is in charge of most of the scheduling and the items and ordering the items for the safety equipment and whatnot, to be there 7 days a week. Wouldn't be fair to him. We'd like to have somebody second in charge who is well versed and could take over in case something happened or a crisis, and then have at least one person in responsible charge at all times at the beach. And we'd like to pay the assistant head lifeguard $22 an hour, or $1 more than the lifeguards. So I think you probably all have the, I'm not sure if you do, but you all have the descriptions that I had forward that were drafted by Dana, put out on her website to attract people. I think the positions were increased last year on an emergency without going to the personnel board. So I think now it has to be put in the proper context and done properly to create the positions, approve the descriptions, and approve the monies that we're saying we're paying them. It was basically the only way to get enough lifeguards to be at the town beach for this summer. And I said, we were fortunate at the last minute to have a lot of people walk through the door, and they're actually a very good group. And we're going to make it through this summer, but we're looking at next year having continuing problems and going on and on and on down the road.
Okay, so the three descriptions that you sent to us, one was for lifeguard, one was for head lifeguard, and the other was for the beach manager. So
Right.
how would you change the description for assistant head lifeguard?
Okay, so the assistant head lifeguard would basically just have the same job descriptions. He would have to know and be responsible for the same type of things, but he would report to the head lifeguard or be under the head lifeguard in the chain of command. So job description, it would say, he would report to the head lifeguard and as his superior, and basically had the same duties, but not necessarily the same pay, ultimate responsibility for what was going on.
Okay, now, you are not here are the current salaries posted the correct ones, the 21 and the 25? Right now, are
Yeah.
they correct? Okay, so right now
Yes.
they're correct, and you're not looking to increase those currently?
No.
Okay,
We have a feeling, or we have a feeling that going forward it's going to get more and more complicated, and we do want the approval of the position for the beach manager, but not necessarily fund or pay that position right now. We just hold it in limbo, because we just feel that somewhere down the road, as the beach gets more and more crowded and more activities down there, we would eventually have to have someone like a beach manager, or would have to go over to somebody in the recreation commission to run the full-time scheduling and recruiting of lifeguards.
right. Okay, so the assistant head lifeguard, you currently do not have a salary category for that, but you're looking for that to be 22, $1 more than than the lifeguards, or $1 less than the head? Which way was
No, $1 more than the lifeguard, so
lifeguards?
$22.
Okay. All right, so that will be a new category,
Correct.
right? Okay, all right. I just want to make sure that I understand what you're looking at. So the budget that you have allocated for this year will be sufficient for what you're staffing currently?
We are going to have to transfer some funds. We have small nest egg that we can transfer funds out of town meeting to cover it. The biggest problem we have is we work calendar year.
Oh, okay.
So we need money next June to open up for July. So we have to make sure we have a little money, to kick off the first 2 weeks of the year in June, to pay the lifeguards. We had enough this year, and we have enough to pay. We'll just make it again this year, but we're looking at most probable as the years go forward, or even in next year, raising sticker prices, and making sure we're covering all, because we have an enterprise fund and we have to cover all our expenses through the beach passes.
Right. Okay, so I'm going to open it up for questions from anyone on the committee. Yes, Nancy.
Thank you, Cindy. Hi, Sean. I just have a question. So the assistant head lifeguard for $1 more will have the same duties, but as the lifeguards. But I'm like what you said, with the head lifeguard needing time off, and if they're not available, then they become in charge of the other lifeguards, correct?
Well, not necessarily. He wouldn't be in charge, like scheduling, like
No,
the week schedule, but basically in charge at the beach at that moment in
for
time.
the day, if the head lifeguard's not there. Yes. So I appreciate like the head lifeguard still does the scheduling and all the pay and all that pay information. So that makes sense to me why it should be a little bit more when 90% of the duties are the same. It's just stepping in sometimes in the absence, stepping up for the head lifeguard when they're not around, and being the more senior, probably more seasoned lifeguard amongst them, probably have more experience. So, I mean, I think that's more than fair in my view for a slightly more, hourly rate.
Mm-hmm.
And I will say, just in looking and doing some research on like what was hit the local news this spring about the rates of pay across the state, I saw in some of the Boston publications that, the state was paying like $23 an hour more. So, I mean, I think these rates are in line. They're definitely high, but I do think you're right. It's a question of supply and demand. I know we've struggled. So I think in terms of the scalability, 21, 22, and 25, to my mind, makes sense, for 25 being the head lifeguard. It seems very reasonable.
Right. Good. Gary, you have a question?
Yes. Thanks, Sean. We went through this with the snowplow drivers too. If you remember, the plow drivers in Massachusetts were being paid $100 an hour, and we had to come up with some other number. I know in Dartmouth we used $50 an hour because we couldn't find any. Fortunately, we had no snow this winter, so that helped us out. But that's not the case with lifeguards. We can't have a beach that's open without lifeguards because of liability issues, so on and so forth. So I think what's going to happen next year is, if this trend continues, we may see these folks that we've hired for this season potentially then go somewhere else, because it's just going to be, those communities will be paying even more because they cannot get additional people. So I think it's a good start. I would just suggest that we may have to relook at this again next year, along with other positions like the plow drivers and whatever other position the state of Massachusetts is now competing with on the local level. And we've seen it, and I don't think this is the end of it, to be honest.
Right. That's just the way things have gone in this kind of economy, with the shortage of people to do some of these key jobs. So Sean, I guess we'll still need a document from you about the assistant head lifeguard. I mean, I think you can probably cobble that together pretty quickly. To just insert that with the pay level per hour. My understanding, and Gary, you've been on this board far longer than I have, we can approve this, and it's okay for them to proceed subject to final approval at town meeting next year, which will certainly be after the fact. But we have the ability to approve these job descriptions and interim changes in classification and pay up until town meeting, correct?
Yes, that's correct. And the other thing too is we just want to make sure that this position, Sean, that you're saying is an assistant is not going to be a union position, correct?
That's correct. None of these are
Okay.
union positions.
Right.
Okay.
With the way we've worked it this year is most have 32 hours is what we have right now. And they're non-union, seasonal part-time, I think they're classified.
So they're non-benefit eligible also, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. I
And
mean,
you
what do you need from us? A vote? I mean, you need a vote from us? I don't know.
Yeah, I think he needs a vote from us to approve the new, how much of these job descriptions change, Sean?
What do you mean by that?
So, I mean, there's an existing job description in the personnel bylaws for lifeguard.
Oh yeah, what we did was we took, I shouldn't say we, Dana, cobbled together these descriptions really quickly to put on the website from the state lifeguard positions.
Okay,
Because of there was more technical language built in as far as certifications needed and that type of thing. We thought it was a good idea.
Okay.
To, if you're going to hire somebody and pay them, whatever per hour, that they are qualified for the job. They can do these certain things and they have these things. We were also
Right.
looking truthfully to attract lifeguards, paying for the certification. And by paying for the certification after 90 hours, we will reimburse them for their 90 hours of working at the beach. We will reimburse them because it's about $300 to $400 depending on the class to get certified every year.
right. Now, are those classes held like in pools in the winter? Are there classes available in the off season so that people could be certified?
Yeah, they are. Obviously, come November, nobody's really thinking much about the beach or getting certified as a
Right.
lifeguard. So, usually around the season. I know the state has their own, and they've been more than willing to help. They've been very helpful. Horse Neck Beach has been more than helpful with this process and the guards and training the guards and everything. They hold their own class for their own lifeguards.
Ah, okay.
So we're thinking of piggybacking. We're thinking of actually having something at the yacht club for all our lifeguards and just paying like a lump sum to get 12 people or whatever, to do the class,
Right.
because it's inside and an outside class to get certified. And obviously in November, you're not going to do too many outside,
Right.
Yeah, so it typically happens like mid to late spring when everybody gets certified. The problem
And
we've
what-
had the last couple of years is the pandemic. They didn't certify anybody.
Right, exactly. I mean, that's really what's caused much of this bottleneck. I mean, these guys wear wetsuits when they go in the water in early June. They must, right? The water's pretty darn cold.
No, it's not that cold in June. It's cold.
No?
It's cool. It depends on the year, but I mean, they do it.
Tough it
I
out.
mean, yeah. Like, it's a certification thing. So,
Right.
and truthfully, you look at the way the state runs their programs and everything like that, and how they train and everything like that. We're going to model it the same way.
Good.
So, it's been very helpful. Who's semi-retired head lifeguard over there has been very helpful in getting us up to speed
Yeah.
here this we have one of the problems we have is it's right now it's unsustainable with the amount of expenses and salaries we have, so there's no choice but raising fees for next year.
Yeah. Well,
And that's
it's still a bargain. I mean, what did you raise it to 35 this year?
Last 2 years ago, yeah, and it was like the world was coming to an end.
Yeah, I mean, that's still a good deal. I mean, if you go up, maybe fewer people will get passes, but there's such a small number of people that can ever get a parking spot as it is with the number of passes that are issued. So you know, your budget used to be able to sustain it when you only sold 2,000 stickers. Now we're selling, you know, 4,000 stickers. So I'm sure there'll be a way to manage it financially.
Yeah, we have, before the pandemic, we were running 2,700 stickers. Now it's 4,400 stickers.
Right.
We've been
right.
the increase like 40%. Additionally, we have a tremendous amount of walk-ons that we never used to have. And by walk-ons, I mean they drop them off, they drop the kids off, or they walk
Right.
down Horseneck. Because the beach at Horseneck is not nearly as nice as Charing Webb.
Right.
So what happens is people get dropped off and they go park at Horseneck and walk down. So we have 104 parking spaces, 4,000 stickers. You know, the math tells you one for
Yeah.
every 40. But
Right.
you also look at, I went down there on July 1st, this Saturday afternoon, July 1st, when we really kicked off the season. And just about every square inch that wasn't Piping Clover was people. And you really used to see that.
Yeah.
You know, I know it's July 4th weekend. So there is a concern, a safety concern that we have. I mean, I think we have a real good group, and we have enough lifeguards. I think we're good this year. The challenge is going to be the upcoming years. I mean, it's going to be a bidding war, as Gary mentioned. And it's like God only knows what's going to happen next year.
Right.
You know,
Right.
it used to be a coveted position where people were fighting for. Now it's just the opposite. You're running out there recruiting. So
Yeah, it's kind of funny how things change like that. Okay, so if I get this right, you're looking for a vote on all three of the job descriptions, although you don't plan to fill the manager position currently right now, and you are going to supply us with an additional job description for assistant head lifeguard.
yes.
Okay. All right, with no current change in salary structure right now.
Not right.
Okay. Are there any other questions? No.
I make a motion that we approve this as recommended by the, I'm sure the beach committee is on board with all this, correct, Sean?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We actually have a meeting next week, but yeah, we were kind of scrambling to do this, and basically, I don't think there's a problem anywhere other than the budgeting. We're budgeting as everybody else in town is, but we're all good with it. I mean, we have no other choice. There is no other choice.
Right. So I make a motion that we approve this with the recommendation from the beach committee and Sean to go from the rate. What is the rate? 20? What was it, Cindy?
21 for the lifeguard, 22 for the assistant head lifeguard, and $25 per hour for the head lifeguard.
Head lifeguard, yeah. I'd make that motion.
I'm happy to second that motion.
Great. Any other further discussion? All those in favor?
Yeah.
Aye. Yep. Okay.
Aye.
Actually, you know what? I'm
We gotta
sorry.
do a roll
This
call.
is a remote
Yes.
meeting. I have to do a roll call. Sorry. Gary.
Yes.
Carrie. Okay. Your sound is off, by the way, Carrie. But I saw you nod, and no, didn't hear you, but I can see you nodding your head. So I'm going to take that in the affirmative. Nancy.
Yes.
Okay, and Cindy, I vote yes as well. Okay, motion is passed unanimously. Sean, if you could get that additional paperwork to us ASAP, that would be great. That way we can close it all out together and have that information available online.
Okay. Yeah, I'll get that right over to you. And I appreciate everybody coming together on short notice to approve this. So we can get this thing, you know.
Well, it's one of our most vital resources that we have, and people enjoy it so much. So I'm glad that you've been able to scramble. I'm sure that you were pulling your hair out over the last month trying to make this work.
Well, we we're at the point at the beginning of June where we were thinking about having no lifeguards because we only had 2 applicants.
Right,
That's where we were at the beginning,
right.
and
So,
that would have been a problem. So again, I appreciate coming together so quickly and everything. And I got to thank once again Dana and Perry Long, who really took the bull by the horns, and the beach committee for, scrambling around, doing whatever they could, but, to try to make this work, So,
Yeah. well, I
Yes.
would think that you don't rate very highly in the town of Fairhaven right now, but,
No.
that's,
Haven called over to Paula, and they were paying, I think, $16 an hour. And,
oh,
and
boy.
I think Michael Croto, our head lifeguard this year, came from there, and he thought he'd gone to heaven. But they were asking what we were paying. They're looking at the same thing.
Right.
Like, they're 1 year behind us, where okay, we're gonna have to bump the budget,
Right,
to figure out how we're gonna. And this is where I think the bidding war comes in. We can't outspend a state, that's for sure.
yeah,
And the way we're going, we probably can't outspend ourselves at this point, without some kind of change in structure. I'm not sure what that is, but
right. Good, good. Well, okay, well, good. Well, I'm glad that we were able to, help you out quickly, and, let us know if you need, anything else. And I guess come springtime, you may be back to us again and look for some wage increases, but, we'll deal with that when the time comes.
yep, I can. I thank you very much. I appreciate everybody for
right.
holding this. Okay.
All right, great.
Awesome.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Sean.
All right. Have a good night.
All right, well, that was good. Thank you, everyone. I think it's pretty straightforward, so that's great. The other item, I don't want to keep anyone on a nice summer evening, but, so I sent over, the description of the classification and wage study is, it's pretty simplistic. The town administrator put this together, and he basically copied the format that the town of Duxbury used, as well as another town, because it was very similar in size, that as far as the number of employees and the types of information. So it won't be until the end of August before we hear back. There's a lot of wiggle room in it as far as other information that we may want, but it includes not only a wage study, but a job description, assessment and classification of how positions should be aligned. So hopefully we'll be able to get things squared away and start with a clean slate, with the right people getting the right job descriptions for the right pay. So there's so many different cobbled together salary rates around town hall that on the non-union positions as well as the union positions. So we'll have to see where this takes us. I mean, it may cost extra money, but I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see. So certainly, once that comes in the end of August, I would expect that unless any other business comes up, we will probably meet again, perhaps shortly, right around Labor Day or so, and see where that goes. Maybe there'll be some other business before us. I don't know. But Gary, you have your hand up.
Yes. So, have they picked the vendor? So they've already picked the vendor, as you mentioned, like GovHR, I guess that is.
No, they have not, because it's more than $10,000.
Oh, right.
They actually had to
Right.
send out
Procurement.
an RFP. So they sent it out to 4 different firms, including the firm that did the study.
Yeah.
I'm gonna pull up the names. There were 4 or 5 firms that they.
Yeah, I think GovHR is one of them. GovHR.
Yes. Oh, it was definitely one of them. There's no question about
Yeah.
that. So let me just.
Well, the point I wanted to make was, I think it would be prudent for us to maybe, once they decide on who the vendor would be, who's going to be doing the study, we may want to have a meeting with them. Not
Oh yeah.
maybe I don't know, at the onset, or maybe when they've drafted a study. But I think it's important that this group meet with them just to get a feel on, because as I mentioned, I think the reason why I asked for this a couple of years ago, and I'm happy to see that this is finally happening, And being on the personnel board, you appreciate this because we had all these one-offs, to have every single department, this, and then what happens is you now make a decision for one department. Now 2 other departments feel like they've been left out. So I think it's important that we know what direction they're going to be going in, what the study is going to involve. I've been through one in Dartmouth, but I just like to know, and each community is different because they come into a community and everything is different. So I think maybe, do we do that at the beginning, or do we do that once they've submitted documents to the town? I mean, I don't know.
I will make sure that I will convey it to the town administrator that once he receives replies from these firms, that we have the opportunity to review them.
Yeah, I think it's important because it would it will affect us as much as it's going to affect the hiring process, and we don't have an HR department, but right down the line, I mean, I think that we need to get a handle on what's being proposed and what these documents are going to ultimately show the town as far as compensation, as far as job descriptions. I think that's important.
Right. So they have until August 16th to submit questions regarding the proposal, and the deadline for submitting their proposal is August 24th.
Oh, okay.
So there were 4 firms that it was sent to, and then it was posted on a government website called
Combines.
Combines, right.
Combines. Yeah, Combines.
Combines. So we'll see what happens, but I will absolutely convey to him that before any decision is made, and once we receive the their information, that we have an opportunity to review it. So kind of keep that in mind. I know I'm going to be away the week of the 17th of August, but I'll be back the week after that. So when these things are due, I will be back then. It kind of backs up a little bit into Labor Day, but we'll see how the timing goes for all involved, and try to have an opportunity to review this certainly before any decision is made. Okay, so at the very least, we will meet again sometime the end of August.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, is that good? Hopefully I won't have to bother you for the rest of the summer, and you can all enjoy your summer. And welcome again, Carrie, welcome aboard. And thank you, Jess, for helping us out, getting our minutes done. We'll actually have real minutes now, which we haven't had in some time. And Jess is going to work on our website, the section on the town website for the personnel board, so that it doesn't look horribly out of date as it currently is. So we'll try to make us look a little bit more official than we have been. So
we appreciate you, Jess. That's like a lot of extra lifting that we don't have to do.
right. That's very, very helpful. So well, good. Well, thank you, everyone. It's only 7:35, so I hope you can enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you all.
Yep.
No, we have to adjourn. We have to adjourn.
Oh, I'm sorry. I need a motion to adjourn. I'm sorry.
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
Okay, Carrie, you second it? Yep. Okay, so motion to adjourn. All those in favor? Oh, roll call.
Roll call. Yes.
Gary,
Yes.
Carrie, yes. Nancy's gone. I'm going to say she said yes. And yes. So I say yes, and we are adjourned.